Welcome to Jacksonville. It was warm at the beach, and it's going to be warm inside Seabass Field for Tommy Grady as he tries to lead the Sharks to a home victory. And Shane Austin, last season's big surprise at quarterback for the Gladiators, tries to keep the Gladiators in the playoff mix. Arena football continues tonight with Week 14, with two of the top teams in the American Conference going to battle. Last season, Cleveland went 17-1 and made it all the way to the Arena Bowl. This season, they are poised for another playoff run. The Jacksonville Sharks are one of the hottest teams in the AFL. They have won 5 of 6 and have one of the best home crowds in the AFL. It will be a rough and tumble, bruising matchup as the Gladiators and Sharks go toe-to-toe tonight in the Shark Tank.
A lot of excitement here in 2015.
Goes and gets it. Launches to the end zone. He'll take it for 6.
Touchdown! They do it again!
A great day at the beach. Lots of fun. And there is a great view of downtown Jacksonville, but we're inside at Seabass Field. Our matchup on CBS Sports Network. The Cleveland Gladiators at 7-6, taking on the Jacksonville Sharks, who are 6-6 and coming off their bye week. Here is an up-to-the-minute look at the American Conference. Philadelphia in control of the East, and in the South, the Sharks are still hoping to win the South Division. Good evening to everyone. Or love alongside friend and partner Anthony Aaron. So glad you're with us. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rocking in here. And it's a key game for both these teams as they want to get into the postseason. We'll see two great receivers tonight. One is maybe going to be a Hall of Famer in Anthony Tiger Jones.
Rumors of the demise of the skill set of Anthony Tiger Jones have been greatly exaggerated when you look at what he accomplished with the Philadelphia Soul, and now this season leading the Arena Football League with 118.6 receiving yards per game here in his first year, working with Tommy Grady and the Jacksonville Sharks. Tiger Jones looks as good as ever, but he's got to make sure he has a big night to try and ensure their positioning.
And this guy might be the most improved wide receiver in the AFL.
Without a doubt, 27 receiving touchdowns so far this season for Colin Taylor. When you think about him just being a possession receiver every year of his career up until this point, and now he has been the main target for Shane Austin and this Gladiators passing game. He's had that Maximus mentality with those rise and grind jump balls.
And the best athlete on the field, and I think arguably the AFL Defensive Player of the Year, is a lock in Joe Sykes.
14 sacks on the season for Joe Sykes, and he's coming off a bye week, folks, so he's going to have all kinds of energy to get after the quarterback. Joe Sykes at 6'5", 290 pounds, has the full arsenal of moves from the right defensive end position. He can beat you with speed up the field. He can club you inside. He can run you over and sit you on top of the quarterback, and those safeties that he's able to get from his defensive end spot have the opposing offense on the ropes.
8 forced fumbles on the season for Joe Sykes. He is one of a kind. Do not go anywhere. We're coming back with the opening kick between the Gladiators and the Sharks on CBS Sports Network.
I need 21 guys leaving it all on the field. It's going to be a battle. You know it's going to be a battle. Leave it out in the field. All right? Hey, second thing is worry about ourselves. Let's not worry about them. Worry about ourselves. Execute every single thing we do. Execute. Guys, one play, one possession. Don't get ahead of yourselves. Don't worry about anything else. One play, one possession. And then we do it again.
Steve Dunn doing his best to get him fired up, and it's Halloween night in June. Why not have a little fun here in the Shark Tank? And let's bring in the third member of our broadcast crew, Hall of Famer, Seth Bonner.
Thanks, Ari. I forgot my costume this weekend, but I'm here with the hardest hitting man in the Arena Football League. Pound for pound, the toughest man, Dominic Jones. 1 game back, 8 tackles, 2 pass breakups. How'd your body feel the first game back?
I felt okay. Still not completely 100% back, but, you know, my team needs to be out here, and I'm out here.
Tough challenge tonight. Tiger Jones, Joe Hills, Appreciate Rodriguez. How do you guys go about stopping this potent offense?
Man, it got to be a complete team effort. You know, we got to deliver the blow first. It's going to be complete fourth quarter. Those guys are going to catch balls. They're good receivers. We just have to limit the big play, force them to drive the ball down the field. We'll have our chance to make plays.
Appreciate it, DJ. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Guys?
Thank you, Sid. There you see the Sharks getting ready at the home red on tonight. Their head coach, Les Moss, upstairs. He unfortunately suffered some burns on his feet. He will be okay. but he'll be coaching from up top tonight. And he said he hasn't been able to do much during the bye weeks. All he's been doing is watching film, studying arena football.
That's a big vacation plans with the family, but he got into football mode and stayed in football mode.
Let's take a look at the arena football rules of the game. Running clock until the final minute of each half. You see the dimensions of the field. No punting, no outside stunting or twisting. Ball off the rebound net is live, and one wide receiver may be in forward motion prior to the snap. Cleveland won the toss. They deferred to the third quarter when they'll get the football, so they will kick off to start tonight's game. Adrian Trevino will kick it off for Cleveland. Greg Reed is back deep for the Sharks.
You mentioned the ball off the rebound net being live. Greg Reed, so far in a young AFL career, this rookie was explosive at Florida State, led the nation in punt returns one season, but he has had trouble fielding the ball off the net. We think he spent some extra time over that in the bye week.
We've got 15 minutes on the clock, and we are set to go. Reed does not handle this one cleanly, and it hit off the back wall. That immediately ends the play. So no chance there at a return for the former Seminole. And we will take a look at Shane Austin. He was a revelation. Oh, pardon me. Good start. Tommy Grady, they're a little bit different size. I immediately looked up and said, that guy is not 6 feet tall.
So it wasn't the
He's
dimensions
6'8".
that threw you.
Yeah. Tommy Grady, 6 feet 8 inches tall. He is a special player. He's had a great career wherever he's been. His teams have won, whether it was in Utah, Pittsburgh, or here with Jacksonville. Played his college ball at Utah. He's got an incredible receiving core. Tiger Jones, Joe Hills, and Preche Rodriguez and London Crawford. And Crawford makes the catch. Lots of green in front of him. And Crawford untouched to the 14-yard line, where he's knocked out of bounds, a gain of 32. And we will take a look at the Sharks starting lineup. Who should we focus on, Big Ant?
You mentioned the bevy of talent they have at wide receiver, but the fullback position, Derrick Ross, the AFL's all-time leading rusher, is certainly a main cog. Tommy Grady has to keep involved in the offense tonight. Only had 3 carries when they lost to the Tampa Bay Storm 2 weeks back. Head coach Les Miles said we have to keep him more involved in that.
Derrick Ross, one of a kind at the fullback position, #1 all-time in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, and he leads this season the AFL in rushing yards, attempts, and rushing touchdowns. Quick screen to Crawford, and Hill's got just enough of a block to spring it for 10 yards and a first down.
London Crawford is still in a recovery phase from an Achilles injury he suffered last season. And this year he's had some hamstring issues. He's been in and out of the lineup, but he adds an extra speed demon to them on the outside.
This is my first Sharks game of the season. When I looked closely at their roster, I thought this is almost like an all-star team. You take overseas to demonstrate arena football. The give is to Ross, and Ross reaches it out. He is not in. Stopped inside the 1-yard line. Gain of 3 on the play for Ross, who's in his 5th season.
Very close, because he was actually laying on the body of Ray McNeil at the center position, but did just come up short.
It's not worth the challenge, but it was really close because he was laying on the body. I'm not sure his body had touched when he reached it out. See if they again go to Derrick Ross here.
Come on, big boy.
And they throw it instead. Crawford wide open. Great call. Leads to the easy Shark touchdown.
Tommy Grady calls his own plays. Decided not to call the number of Derrick Ross because he could tell a slight adjustment there as London Crawford pointed at Dominic Jones. They could tell he was going to come off the edge, and as Jones committed into the box thinking Derrick Ross would get the football.
Pick your poison there for Dominic Jones. Extra point coming up. Lee Chappell is the holder, the backup quarterback. Extra point, it is up and good. An excellent start for the Jacksonville Sharks. Tommy Grady leads them down the field. They look razor sharp coming off the bye week as Grady finds Crawford for the touchdown. We're coming right back. We'll get a look at the Gladiator offense. There is a look at the Jacksonville scoring drive. Didn't take long. 2 minutes and 22 seconds. London Crawford played his college ball at Arkansas, gets the opening score of the night. Julian Roush will kick it off for the Sharks. Amari Jackson is deep for Cleveland. Amari Jackson played his college football at South Florida. Also played arena football in South Florida for Tampa Bay. And that ball outside of the end zone, so no chance at a return for Jackson. And here is Shane Austin. He was quite a revelation last season, leading them to a 17-1 record. He's been hot of late, 0 interceptions thrown in his last 3 games. But he's going up against Joe Sykes and the rest of the defense. But it starts, you got to know what Joe Sykes is doing on every play.
Without a doubt, one thing that Shane Austin has the ability to do is move the pocket. He'll do it a little bit too soon sometimes, but his athletic ability will need to be on display against that man right there.
There's nobody quite like Joe Sykes. Austin on a 5-step from his own end zone, throws for Jackson, who makes the catch. Forced out of bounds at the 14, and Sykes was about a half an inch away from knocking that ball out of Austin's hands.
What I liked about what Shane Austin did there is having his heels in his own end zone. You can feel Joe Sykes coming off the edge there, and as he's turning that tight corner, Sykes reaching for the football, trying to get that 9th forced fumble, but Shane Austin knows the timing that's necessary here with Amari Jackson as he breaks off towards the corner. Jackson does a nice job flattening out, coming back towards the football. Austin got the ball out on time.
Austin finds Colin Taylor, and Taylor uses that strength to get to the 4-yard line where it'll be 1st and goal, gain of 10. And Colin Taylor, as you mentioned in the open, having the best season of his career.
He's improved every season that he's been in the Arena Football League. The matchup up front in tonight's game, though, with C.J. Cobb, who will predominantly be on the left side of the protection for the offense. This former Cincinnati Bearcat will have his hands full with Joe Sykes, but they'll do a good job of mixing protections, showing some cut blocks, trying to keep Joe Sykes off balance.
All 3 receivers to the top of your screen. Austin, lots of time, and it's picked off. It's Greg Reed, and Greg Reed's got great speed, and he dances his way to the 13-yard line. So a red zone mistake from Shane Austin. And the Sharks have the football. Reed now with 5 interceptions, and he's played just over 6 games.
One of the things I'm always curious about with the shorter quarterbacks are whether or not they're actually able to see, especially down here in the tight confines of the red zone. So Shane Austin, it does look like there was a throwing lane available to him, but the route broken off by Tyron Lewis as he got into the end zone. Austin was anticipating him maybe flattening out, and it looked like 2 receivers were in the same space. Greg Reed took advantage of a mistake there.
You know, Cleveland now -3 turnover margin on the season. You compare that, Jacksonville's +13, make it +14. Grady going for it all to Tiger Jones. Dives. Does he hold on? Yes. Touchdown, Sharks.
Now this is where the show begins. A little James Brown action from the Tiger.
Wow.
Well, he's not quite as old as T.T. Tolliver out in Tampa Bay, but one of the godfathers of the wide receiver position in the AFL, Tiger Jones, came off the line of scrimmage looking about 3/4 speed and then burst towards the back corner of the end zone. Tommy Grady knew exactly where the football needed to be delivered, and that's why he and Tiger Jones have gotten on the same page so quickly. They have such a high football IQ together.
Roush connects on the extra point, and just like that, the Sharks turn the turnover into a touchdown. Tommy Grady, 37 yards to the 33-year-old Tiger Jones. He hasn't lost a step or a dance move just yet. Look at Tiger. He knows how to celebrate with the best. If he just wait, get everybody's attention.
I feel good. I knew that I would. Hey! Good guy, Tiger.
Tiger Jones, they're always well choreographed. Well done. And here's the best of Tiger Jones celebration. There's a lot to choose from.
Elizabeth coming to join you. A little bit of that. Now we got the duck, duck, goose. Like you mentioned, always choreographed. Olympic time with his old Soul teammates. Now little Soul Train line in the end zone. It didn't take Tiger Jones long to get his Jacksonville Sharks teammates up to speed. Mo Ruffins, a little MJ.
You know, the most fun part about it is when you're around him and you talk to him. He's not a flashy guy. He's not a big talker. And then when he scores, he becomes, this is what he's like normally, everybody. And then he scores a touchdown. Yeah. And then he just becomes a completely different guy. Roush, a very high kick. That's a bar ball, and it's loose. It goes out the backside of the end zone. So Roush 2 for 2 on touchbacks. And we do have a flag all the way back at the 5-yard line of Jacksonville.
Offside on the kicking team, number 6. It's a 10-yard penalty from the 5. Be first and 10, Cleveland at the 15-yard line.
Check it was said.
Well, the Funk Master. Talk to me about that JB dance.
He had a bye week last week.
Correction.
Catch up on my
Since the kick was not returnable.
Out here right now, you guys are pretty much doing what you want offensively early on. Was there anything coming in that you saw that you could take advantage of?
We just wanted to come out and try to hit them, make them respect us deep until they come down. And just got to keep it going, man. It's early first quarter. It's a lot of game left.
What else is in the dance bag if we get back to the zone, which I'm expecting we will? What else is in the bag?
Can't give it away.
Thanks, Tiger. Guys?
That's a great answer.
Whatever it is, I think we can be fairly confident it will be entertaining in a way that only Anthony Tiger Jones does.
All right, Anthony, what do you do if you're Steve Tunn here and you're calling plays for Shane Austin to try to get your quarterback's confidence back?
Quick adjustment there on the yard line there from the officials, Tom McKay. But for Steve Tunn, he's got to make sure that Shane Austin realizes they had a nice drive going last time out. That is his first turnover, the first interception over the last 3 games. So get back into a rhythm, show a bit of 3-step, make them respect you, especially if all the defensive backs are going to be within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, as they're showing right here.
Fakes it, now wants to go deep, and Jackson just flat out did not get by Chris Smith. It's good defense.
Ball goes into the stands there. These Jacksonville Sharks know what to do.
Foul, roughing the passer, number 91 on the defense. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Penalty on Nicholas Jean-Baptiste. Got the start tonight at the nose position.
I mean, he's more than 330. I don't know when I don't know when this official weight was put on here, but I'm taking the over.
Got such great collapse of the pocket inside. And then once you get the shoulders of the center turned, as he did there from P.K. Manley, it's about finishing towards the QB, but you have to know when to pull off.
Yeah, he could have pulled off before he took him to the ground and still would have gotten a hit on the quarterback. Austin, and that's too high, and that's almost picked off. So not a good start for Shane Austin.
We'll certainly look forward to getting the breakdown from Cedric Bonner down there at field level as well, with the obviously playing the quarterback position at such a high level, and he's coached the position as well. The diminutive nature of Shane Austin and what that does for his visual, working from the pocket, and that is the main sort of defensive scouting report against the shorter quarterbacks in the AFL, where Shane Austin maybe isn't as skilled as finding the throwing window from within the pocket. That's why we tend to see him lead.
That ball got hit on the way out. Joe Sykes got a piece of it, and a late flag comes in, but that ball was deflected. They got to pick up this flag, Anthony.
That's exactly correct, Wolf. And that's with the officials, Tom McCabe and his crew, getting together. You see him waving the hands right now.
There's no foul on the play for pass interference. The ball was tipped. It's an incomplete pass, third down.
Just to give everyone perspective on Joe Sykes, most teams' single-season sack record is less than 10, and he has 14 already.
Which is the new team record. You see that working the edge. And the thing that's most difficult to do, especially when you're 6'5", 290, Sykes is able to rush the edge with such a low pad rush angle. So with that pad level, it's difficult for the edge blockers to get down there and still have enough momentum and force to try and ward him away from the quarterback.
I believe that Coach Tunn is challenging whether or not the ball was tipped, but with the way the ball moved, it was clear. It seems like, you know, Coach Tunn's been around since 1988. His quarterback may have told him it wasn't tipped, but it was pretty clear from our vantage point.
At least hit his arm. And Tom McCabe will
But that
come
would
over.
be different, though. If he did only hit the arm and he didn't actually hit the ball, then it would change the call.
We got anything?
The wrong headset on. He'll be talking to our guys in the truck, our producer.
Okay, here we go. Can we see what we got here? All right, we're trying to see if he actually hit the ball or just hit his arm. Let's see if you slow that down. All right, let's take a look at that. I can't tell. He actually gets his arm, but we need to see if he also hits the ball. Okay, that was perfect. He did not hit he just hit his arm. He didn't hit the ball. Therefore, we will stick with the defensive pass interference.
That's a great listen inside the replay review process. Now Tom McCabe will make his way back out here to tell the folks in the arena, but you viewers at home have gotten to hear it and see it first.
After further review, the defender grabbed the quarterback's arm and not the ball. Therefore, the pass interference stands. It'll be a 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Excellent challenge from Steve
Cleveland
Tunn.
is
really
not
crafty.
shy of the timeout.
And he was on it immediately. You know, it wasn't like it took him much time to think about it. Bounce flag was on the field immediately. Joe Sykes, excellent pass rush coming around the edge. Shows a bit of the strength of the hands of Shane Austin that he didn't immediately drop the ball as Sykes was clubbing his arm during the throwing motion.
And Sykes reached from his right arm across his own body as opposed to using the left arm. This guy's special. We won't talk about a defensive player more in a game than we will Joe Sykes tonight. He's 32 years of age. Guy plays like he's 22 years old. And they set up the screen. Great call to Richardson. And Richardson is brought to the turf at the 4, gain of 11. And Coach Tunn told us on the call they would use the screen game a lot to slow down the pass rush, and there it works perfectly.
Jeremy Richardson working from the fullback position there as he's offset. You'll see him leak out of the backfield. And so that's one of the weapons you can use to slow down the pass rush. Allows the MAC linebacker in, Pierre Turner. But Jeremy Richardson, an extremely athletic football player, big enough to play the fullback, but nimble enough to hurt defenses in space.
Just his second catch of the season. They give it right back to Richardson. And he is stopped at the 2-yard line. One of the perks we have is live audio down on the field. We'll listen in to Coach Tunn with his quarterback.
Okay. Friday.
Randall 69 now in at fullback, and Austin's on the quarterback keeper. Gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Gladiator.
They may have gotten away with a quick flinch from DJ Brandel as he was lined up at fullback. Once they brought Richardson in motion, All the defense is thinking they're going to go lead to the weak side. That's a good answer. Good sharp drive there from the Cleveland Gladiators. Mixed in enough. Mixed in a couple of deep balls, even though they didn't connect on them. It makes the defensive backfield respect your willingness to throw it.
Trevino on for the extra point attempt. Chris Deeker, backup quarterback, sits it down, and the kick is up, and it is good. The Gladiators get on the board for the first time tonight. Shane Austin showing off the footwork. Gets to the corner of the end zone. We've got a one-touchdown game.
The beautiful mind of Steve Eaton on display at Seabest Field. Jeremy Richardson goes in motion, so he's the big body. Let's freeze it right there. So now we're thinking that the fullback will be lead blocking for Richardson. Defense flows with it. That allows Shane Austin to leak out the backside. You very rarely see a naked bootleg in the Arena Football League, but there you've got Jerry Turner in a chase position, and Terrence Smith can't get there in time to stop Shane Austin from the house call.
There you see the numbers, but one important stat missing from that is he did throw a red zone interception, which is why Jacksonville is up a touchdown and has the extra possession.
That key word, possession, that Arena Football fans, viewers, everyone knows it well. So important in this game.
And this kickoff misses the rebound net.
Another happy fan with a football. Just about as many receptions for fans here.
First and 10 at the 5 for Jacksonville. Tommy Grady is a perfect 4 for 4 for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Right? Feedback. We go 23 cross down. Hold on.
First and 10, Jacksonville, ball line, 5-yard line.
Go! Son!
Derek Ross, and that ball almost came out. Will McGinnis tried to yank that thing right out of there. McGinnis really gave it a pretty good tug. Derek Ross showed off some strength keeping that football.
And stealing that possession back, that's what this Gladiators defense will need to focus on, seeing if they can get the football stripped away, looking for opportunities to get another turnover.
He did not like what he saw. Pump fakes a couple times, comes back to Anthony Tiger Jones, who gets into Cleveland territory. 18-yard gain for Tiger Jones.
This completion took some concentration because the umpire was directly in the line of sight between Tiger Jones and where this football was being delivered from. And so Tommy Grady throws it back across his body. You'll see him just slightly move the pocket to the left, finding a window, throwing it back across the field. There's the umpire just ducking to quickly get out of the way. Very nimble, very aware, and the concentration of Tiger Jones. Jeff Carr, umpire. Well done, sir.
Grady gets it out quickly. Joe Hill's first catch of the night, and he's very good after the catch. Gain of 11 yards for Joe Hills, who is a star for the Tampa Bay Storm.
Got the longest active streak in the Arena Football League right now at 47 consecutive games with a touchdown reception. Hills has played the National Football League with the Tennessee Titans, the Carolina Panthers. Former teammate of his, Amari Jackson, on the opposing sideline. They made a very dynamic 1-2 combination in Tampa Bay.
Quick hitter to Crawford. Now, the game before the bye week, Joe Hills had his best game so far as a member of the Sharks with 6 receiving touchdowns. His first game of the season, he had 5, and then Joe Hills, right before the bye, had 6 touchdowns. And when he's hot, he's virtually unstoppable.
It's a great combination of size. He's got enough straight line speed to threaten defensive backs. He won't always run by everyone, But as we saw there on the previous snap, very nimble, elusive out in space.
Bring it on in for Jacksonville, ball at the 8-yard line.
Grady, receiver screen to Hills, and that is well defended by Cleveland. Donnie Fletcher, not fooled, steps up and makes the tackle.
Tommy Grady has different issues down in this area of the field because the red zone is difficult for everyone, but at 6'7", at least the vision of Tommy Grady won't be muddy in the same way that it is for Shane Austin. He can see over virtually everyone on the football field, very similar to our Hall of Fame quarterback, Zed Bonner, who played the game at roughly 6'5". He may have been 6'6" way back when, before he took a few hits.
Grady, bunch of fakes, all kinds of time, and then tries to sling it in. He's showing off. He's still got some arm strength there.
Arm strength. It's something serious. Zed Bonner, you're down there at field level. You're just behind where Tommy Grady is attempting these passes. Fourth down coming up. What are you seeing right now from their red zone execution?
Well, I think they need to use D. Ross a little bit more. They're getting too in love with the passing game. It's hard not to as a quarterback, especially when you're feeling it. But you got the most dynamic running back in the history of this league in your backfield. You got to get him some touches. Right now, up front, a lot of pressure being put on.
Will throw on fourth down. Grady in trouble. Steps up, still looking. Throws, complete. Touchdown, Sharks.
Thriller from Tiger Jones and his teammates. The pocket awareness of Tommy Grady has improved so much over the years because he's still not going to win a foot race against many kickers, let alone other athletes out on the field. But he's able to slide in the pocket, know when it's time to climb in the pocket, but he's always staying in a throwing mentality with mechanics ready to deliver touchdown strikes.
You're spot on there, friend. Tommy Grady doesn't make that play 4 or 5 seasons ago. He didn't have that awareness of the space of the arena field as that extra point by Roush was missed. Tommy Grady has really developed a better awareness when the play breaks down to make something happen. Well done there, Tommy Grady, who finishes the quarter with 3 touchdown passes. And that was a big one. That was on fourth down. Our final play of the first quarter. Entertaining first 15 minutes of football. You're watching Arena Football on CBS Sports Network. Great first quarter for Tommy Grady. Would you say he was perfect?
Nearly 9 out of 10 in the ball game so far. Really, even the one incompletion he's had was really impressive because he showed off the arm strength. But early in this game, we're seeing some urgency to the way Tommy Grady is playing quarterback right now. And I'd say this, I mean, he always plays it at a fairly high level, but I do feel like I see an extra sort of heartbeat with the way he's playing right now. But the urgency of his mechanics, of his movements, I feel like there's some energy to the way Grady's playing tonight.
And he's a guy who I think sometimes is misread because he doesn't have this real intense look on his face. He doesn't carry himself like the world's fate is being determined in this football game. He's usually just pretty cool.
He's always been cool as a cucumber, no matter whether it's been in Utah with the Blaze, in Pittsburgh with the Power. I mean, he has set single-season all-time professional football records, not just team records, AFL records. He's put up monumental numbers throughout his career.
One guy is going to get an A+ start, and that's on kickoffs. As Roush has done a very good job, and now it's Cleveland's turn to respond as Roush gets a little airtime, deservingly so. Keeping that return game from giving the Gladiators a spark, and it forces Shane Austin, if he goes 5-step, to throw from his own end zone.
He's throwing from his own end zone with Jerry Turner and Joe Sykes coming off the edge. And now they've got Jason Holman in at the nose position on this drive for the Jacksonville defense. Different type of presence inside than what Nicolas Jean-Baptiste gives.
Keep in mind for Cleveland, this is their second game without Dominic Goodman, one of the best wide receivers in the AFL.
Sykes working off the right edge.
Quick hitter, Thyron Lewis, and a great block from Colin Taylor springs Lewis into Jacksonville territory.
It's a good body blow. It's an excellent call from Stevie Tunn because it does multiple things. One, it just gets your quarterback out of harm's way because the ball is out of his hands. But two, it forces that defensive line, those big uglies up front for the Jacksonville Sharks, forces them to turn and run. They have to chase the football. They have to get out of the stack, working sideline to sideline. That's why I call it a body blow. You may not get the knockout with that play call, but it sets them up.
23 yards on the play. Austin, Amari Jackson one-handed. He's still alive because nobody touched him as he went into the boards, bounces off, picks up a couple more yards, 15 yards for Amari Jackson.
I like the read there from Shane Austin because as Jackson came in high motion, it looked for a second like Chris Smith was going to be the defensive back covering him, but it was really just some flash man. And the ball comes out with a little bit of a loop to it and drops right in there. The left hand just reaches out and snags it so effortlessly.
The right hand never touched the ball at any point in the play. They keep it on the ground, and Richardson's pushing that pile. Finally goes down. Joe Sykes tackles him.
And what we get, especially from the beautiful angle we have here, Jackson isn't even in frame as the ball is in flight, and so it shows you the presence and the anticipation you need to have as an arena football quarterback where the ball is out of his hands. There's a defender in position, and the receiver is nowhere near it yet.
Second and goal. Austin stumbles, collects himself, and misses Colin Taylor. Probably a good thing that happened because that could have been picked off. He did not really have his feet under him that time. Shane Austin just didn't come away from center cleanly.
It was another completion just to an individual in the back of the end zone, unfortunately.
Yes, it was a completion.
Looks like he tripped. Yeah, he did trip on the left leg, Jeremy Richardson.
Jackson cannot make the catch, and Jackson's not happy with the back judge. He thought he was held.
There was a running lane there available for Shane Austin. I kind of thought maybe he would take off and take advantage of it. We'll get a good look at it here as Sykes gets up the field. You see the vision there? It did appear that Reed just tugged down below the hip of Jackson. Really a veteran maneuver for him to tug at the hip as opposed to being up around the jersey.
That was like a guy who's played 6 years, not 6 games in the secondary. Fourth and goal. Austin's in trouble. Flag comes in. It's going to be pass interference. And Austin took a good hit there.
Pass interference on the defense, number 10. Half the distance to the goal,
Terrence
automatic
Smith
first down.
Guilty.
Did appear to be the correct call on Smith back in the end zone. You have to react as quickly as you can. They ran a whip route. Smith had his hands there. Reed got away with one on the previous snap. They call it this time on Smith. Pocket just clean there. They slide the protection, and C.J. Cobb, as he slides down, doesn't pick up Pierre Turner, the Mac linebacker.
It's Richardson, and he doesn't get in. Now, earlier you referred to a screenplay as a body blow. Well, Turner may not have gotten the sack there, but that's a body blow on Austin. Those do add up.
Legitimate. That was literally a body blow on Shane Austin.
No gain on the play. Let's listen in downstairs.
50 broom, regular blue broom. Wide loop, 50 broom on 118.
50 broom. You see man protection on the inside. Jackson will motion to trips.
Austin sets up, throws. Very nice job. Terrence Smith wasn't there initially and got that hand over the top.
right in position. They went zone on the back end. Terrence Smith, as he's got his eyes in the backfield the entire way. You see him there. He gets boxed out initially by Lewis, but excellent work to continue to rake down at the football, finishing the play.
And Smith at 6'2", good size, because Lewis is 6'4". Big bodies in the red zone. Austin looking, throws up high, and it's picked off. Here comes the return. Jackson just stumbles out of the end zone.
He left the end zone initially, came back in, just barely got back out, and that could have been a very interesting call.
Larachi Jackson, 31 years old, gets the interception, his third of the season, and another red zone turnover for Shane Austin and the Gladiators.
As the Jack linebacker, your depth can be no deeper than 5 yards until the ball is in flight. Alvin Ray Jackson drawing the line there. Whether or not he was too deep, ball's in flight. He goes up and takes Jackson to flight school.
Well, anything could happen on a day like this.
Welcome back. Shane Austin, as you see, just 5 for 10 in those 2 interceptions. And I want to apologize to Alvin Ray Jackson. And he was the Jack linebacker and one of the best in the business, makes this interception.
You're only allowed to be 5 yards deep as the Jack linebacker until the quarterback starts to deliver the football. Jackson is right on the line there. I do think he was legal, though. He started to chatter laterally and then took a half step back. As Austin started to deliver the football, that was where he played it even deeper. We were talking about it during the break, Wolf. He's always right on that line. Said Bonner, how'd you see it down at field level? Did it look like in live action maybe Jackson had gotten too deep?
Once the ball was thrown, he took off and made a direct beeline. He read the route coming around, turned his body, and was in good position. It's tough to make that call there.
As this drive continues, definitely interested in Ced's thoughts on Shane Austin. A couple of red zone turnovers here.
Grady, pump fake, and there's flags coming in, and that's really it. Joe Hills wasn't getting to that football either way, but it's a good call.
Penalty will come on Fred Shaw. But said, as we referenced a moment ago, the 2 red zone turnovers so far from Shane Austin, do you think it has to do with his vision as a shorter QB, or how are you seeing it play out?
Well, I think the receivers are having a hard time separating right now. There's not guys getting wide open, so he's not able to be in rhythm when he throws. Has to take a little bit longer look, which at his size, then he has to slide and shuffle around and try to find windows. It doesn't work.
Crawford in motion. They keep it on the ground, and Derek Ross just a gain of a yard.
So this is a Cleveland defense that's on the field right now that has been in this position before. They've had to answer the belt, try to pick their offense up. We saw that play out so much throughout that magical 17-1 season last year. Shane Austin is 99 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, so a quality ratio TD to interception, but the defense was in position where they had to try and pick up the offense for some mishaps and miscues here and there.
Brady stands, delivers Tiger Jones to the 24-yard line. One of the things we talked about in our production meeting is Ron James was Tommy Grady's head coach in Pittsburgh, that he might have a few things to help out the Cleveland defense, but so far they have not slowed down Tommy Grady.
They haven't. Grady looks very comfortable. Does look like he's taking advantage of the bye week, and there's Ron James in there signaling the Cleveland Gladiators defense. He took over from Ron Zaleski, who's been with Stevie Tunn for a number of years as the defensive coordinator on Tunn's staff.
Grady throws right on time. Touchdown Sharks.
Get a little bit of robot from Tiger Jones here. I've been saying it throughout the season. Arm strength, not a necessity for an AFL quarterback. But if you're going to be able to read defenses, and you're going to be 6'7", and you're going to be able to dissect coverages and put the ball out on time, to have an absolute laser with the air quotes attached to your right arm certainly doesn't hurt. There was a hair late, I thought, from Tommy Grady, but it didn't matter because he put it right on the money.
And that kick is blocked. So the lead is 26-7. And normally Seth Bonner is tough on the quarterbacks. You thought it was a hair late. That was one of the best throws I've ever seen Tommy Grady make.
Late would be an overstatement. He didn't anticipate the throw. It was timed well enough. It wasn't an anticipatory pass, though. But it didn't matter. As hard as he threw the football,
it was
made no
a
difference.
thing of beauty. Tommy Grady, Andy here giving him A-. I'm giving him A+. We'll take a break. We're coming right back to the Shark Tank. For the latest news, scores, and stats, log on to arenafootball.com. Whether you want to check out special features on the league's brightest stars or watch live games via the ESPN3 video player, arenafootball.com is where it's at. Great shot of people earlier in the day enjoying the weather and see active career leaders in receptions. Tiger Jones, 895. He's got 3 touchdowns tonight. He's been great since the day he stepped on an Arena Football League field.
You should probably keep in mind that T.T. Tolliver's got about, what, 3-4 seasons at this point? At
least. T.T. Tolliver, I feel like he's been in the whole time. It's in his 28th year, right? Tiger Jones is a fine football player, but celebrations are what he does best. Here's some of his ones from tonight. As Tiger off to a fantastic start, so is his team.
They wound him up during the pregame. He's ready to go.
Don't miss the best drivers in off-road, short course racing as they go head-to-head and bumper-to-bumper. Lucas Oil Racing tomorrow at 8 Eastern, right here on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Now it's Halloween night. These two get extra effort points because it's hot in here. You're going to go with one of those outfits on Halloween night. You better have a little air conditioning system in there.
Halloween in June.
Is that because they don't get it enough at the end of October?
They have as many theme nights here at CBS Field as any team in the Arena Football League. Keep a very joyous atmosphere.
Austin looking for Lewis, trying to bring it in with one hand.
He took a big blow from Joe Sykes. They're in the backfield. Like the read, just barely out of the reach of Tyron Lewis. One-on-one opportunities. It's one thing just to lengthen the coverage by throwing it downtown. You're going to continue to do it. You, of course, want to complete some of those deep balls on occasion. Gladiators have yet to connect on one of those deeper passes.
Austin Omari Jackson, and Smith forces him into the boards after a gain of 5. And Anthony, you played defensive end in this league. You coached it at a high level. My question for you is part of the reason the deep balls aren't effective because even if Sykes isn't getting home, Austin knows that that ball has to get out?
It certainly could be. You know, you want to, as a defensive pass rusher, to get in the head of the opposing quarterback. And we're seeing the secondary from Jacksonville squat repeatedly until Cleveland can complete some of these deeper passes. And whether we're talking Terrence Smith, Greg Reed, Chris Smith as the backside, they're threatening and saying, we dare you to beat us deep.
And Austin thought twice about throwing it. He gets drilled into the boards, and it brings up 4th down.
I see Shane Austin doing what he can to keep his eyes down the field, and then at the last moment, he's got to come off of his read to try and evade the pass rush. So he is standing in there.
Hey, Ray's right. Yo-yo, 54. Ray's right. Yo-yo, 50 corner. We stack on 101.
You hear the effort it takes from Shane Austin just to communicate the play in the huddle, as loud as it is here at Seabass Field. Corner route coming to Jackson.
Oh, that's actually got to be on the official. I mean, he didn't come in there. He was in there on the center, and they're running the play. He doesn't get out of the way. I mean, you can't call this on Cleveland. They couldn't snap the ball.
The tight end had signaled early. I picked it up. The umpire didn't. We have no play. It's 4th down.
Well done, gentlemen.
Tom McCabe all over it. The Gladiators head back to the huddle. Stevie Tunn, of course, upset because he saw coverage that he liked.
But he is one of the calmest coaches in the NFL. We're always talking about Clint Donzel, Rob Keith, Kevin Guy. It's hard to upset Steve Tunn.
Shane Austin hoping they can pick up a cheap 5 yards for the first down. But you'll see double post opportunity working for the field side.
4th down, Austin throws. Lewis with the catch at midfield. Greg Reed wraps him up after a gain of 13.
Goes without saying. Very big completion there for Cleveland and their offense. Down 3 scores. Here's Tyron Lewis as he comes in motion. Works the post, and then right there, ends up curling it inside. Doesn't continue to run himself into the coverage. That's a nice read on the fly. This player's only been with the team for 3 weeks now, but he was with this team the entire season last year on their conference championship run.
Austin pump fake, going downfield for Taylor, and the closest player was Greg Reed.
Well read in the secondary set. As Reed was there in coverage, the depth, I think the angles of Greg Reed and what he's taken from the safety position have improved for a rookie defensive back. What do you think about this Shark secondary?
Absolutely. It's like if you're a pilot, you want to stay high to stay out of trouble. He kept his depth right there. And a misread by Shane Austin. He's fortunate that wasn't picked off. Colin Taylor read the coverage, flattened the route out. Austin's got to see that and put the ball over towards the wall flatter.
Alvin Ray Jackson did a nice job of getting in the throwing lane, and they set up the screen, and Alvin Ray Jackson is there again. Now, with the rule change for the Jack linebacker, they're becoming a bigger and bigger part of defenses, but it seems every week we're talking so much about Jack linebackers.
As you referenced, that rule change that's there because the Jack used to be confined to just the tackle box area, but now he can roam sideline to sideline, and that's where Alvin Ray Jackson still can't drop deeper than 5 yards until the ball's gone, as we referenced, but there he played the old school Jack linebacker position, staying within the tackle box, making the play on the tight end.
3rd down, Austin, Lewis, nice catch, and Lewis is still going. And Lewis finally tackled by Chris Smith at the 9. It'll be 1st and goal. Wasn't a great throw, but Lewis, with those long arms, went up and got the football.
And now we see the Waterloo for Shane Austin developing again here. Because being in the red zone for Austin at 6 foot tall, so you've got the sidewalls here that work as additional defenders. So not only do you have the 8 angry men on the opposing sideline, but now you've got those sideboards to contend with as a more diminutive quarterback.
He's had problems in the red zone, 2 red zone interceptions. Keep it short. Colin Taylor reaches it out. He's in. Touchdown, Gladiators. Colin Taylor, extra effort, gets the 6.
I needed that one.
Deep. Hurry up, deep.
The play call itself is what set it up, but I'm surprised we saw the coverage drop so deep for the Sharks in their own end zone.
Hey, Jamie! Need a big one deep. Need a big one deep.
Colin Taylor has had a career year this season for the Cleveland Gladiators.
And frankly, if he didn't play another down, this season would be a career year. That's amazing considering they still have tonight and 4 more games to go. Colin Taylor, the former Hoosier, who got it done in Indiana, getting it done in Jacksonville here, makes the catch, gets hit, extra effort gets in. Colin Taylor, look at those numbers. Really put it together here in his 5th year in the AFL. Maybe he'll be in Big Ant's top 5 receivers at halftime.
Oh, yeah?
60 seconds
Coming
away.
up at the half, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
60 seconds of game action.
Yes.
This final minute
could take a while, yeah.
Potential onside kick here for
Yeah.
Cleveland.
And there it is, the onside kick. It's a good one, and Trevino recovers it. Give the kicker some love, Anthony. Come on. Textbook dribbler. Popped right up to him.
I'm anticipating the onside. The Jacksonville Sharks have 7 people in position within 15 yards of the football, anticipating the onside as well. But by formation, Stevie Tunn doesn't allow the return team to dictate which direction the ball is going to. And then Adrian Trevino dribbles it right to himself. Kickers need love too, Wolf. Trevino, huge play for the Gladiators.
Newsworthy, Anthony Herron giving love to the kicker. And what's going to happen next? The Arena Football Halftime Show. We will look at Big Ant's top wide receivers in the AFL. We will also have first half highlights and stats. All that coming up on the Arena Football Halftime Show. Cleveland needed it badly. Now they will get the football at the start of the third quarter. So if they use this time correctly and force Jacksonville to use timeouts, they can get right back in the game. Austin pump fake. Colin Taylor up high makes the catch. He always gets that ball. His effort and his will, those high balls in traffic, he always seems to come down with.
The double move from Shane Austin. Nice pump there and showing the eyes. So after he looks off the defender, Greg Reed is in position to react, but from there, we know Colin Taylor is willing to rise and grind for the football. The hit from Reed, not enough to jar it loose.
Quick screen to Jackson. And Jackson gets forced out of bounds, which stops the clock in the final minute. He probably would have liked to have stayed inbounds and forced Jacksonville to use the timeout.
Been impressed with the blocking in space. The Gladiators receivers in this first half as well, because there has been a good amount of 3-step and some quick swing passes that require the receivers to be willing to block the defenders. It's not always a DB they're blocking, sometimes it's a linebacker.
And they're good size. Jackson 6'4", 220, Lewis 6'4", 200, Taylor 6'1", 200. On the ground, it's Richardson, and he's shy of the first down. And the clock is now stopped with 44 seconds to go. First timeout used by either team here in the first half.
Tell Jay Rich straight behind. Okay?
Okay. He's lining behind me, home.
Yeah. Can you get a sneak?
Yeah.
Right, wide jet, 10 wedge.
Hey, line up home and push me in. Hey, wide jet behind him, though. Right, wide jet, 10 wedge on one-on-one. Ready? Yeah, 10.
Where else do you get to hear that?
Behind him.
That's great live audio right there.
Hey, home, line up home. Manic. Manic.
And Austin gets the first down and wanted to go down because it forces Jacksonville to make a decision. And they let some time come off. It gets to 36 before they use the timeout.
Hey, coach. I like when we throw it. I like wax sail and he runs a fade. I throw a little fade to call him. Yeah, but run one more. Okay.
Trips right, yo-yo, 22 veer.
Hey, line up tight. Trips right, yo-yo, 22 veer on one-on-one. Ready? Hold the ball.
Stevie Tunn wanting to continue to force Jacksonville to take more timeouts. You hear him tell his quarterback, run it one more time before we throw the football.
Whistles before the play is run.
Sideline warning on Jacksonville, they're first. Still first down.
Well, it wasn't on Les Moss.
No, you would think not.
Les is all the way upstairs, still healing from those burns on his feet, so Les is all right. He gets a chuckle at it. It's not on him, not on Coach.
Hold on the field. Defense coordinator on the field got a little too close.
They wanted to make it 9 versus 8. And it's Richardson, and he does not get in, and that was by design. And Jacksonville uses the timeout with 30 seconds remaining. That is their final timeout.
Timeout Jacksonville, their third and final. It'll be 30 seconds.
That's precisely how you're hoping it's going to play out. If you're the Cleveland Gladiators, force Jacksonville to use all their timeouts, and so if they get the football back here, now they won't be able to try to run the time down.
If you're Cleveland, though, do you want to run one more play to take it down more?
Stevie Tunn doesn't normally operate that way. He's normally a guy who just looks to put the points on the board. When you get down to this sort of time frame, 30 seconds left, Jacksonville has used their timeouts. I expect him to want to score here.
And there is Joe Sykes, 14 sacks on the season. None so far tonight. Amari Jackson on the ground, and he tries to throw it, and it's picked off. Chris Smith with the interception. And Amari Jackson, that was the play, but he was going down. You got to just take the loss. That's 3 red zone turnovers. I mean, Steve Tunn doesn't get that upset, but he must be like, what is happening?
That's exactly what the look on his face says right now. I mean, by my estimation, and Seth Bonner can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that's a part of the play design as far as I can tell.
A sportsmanlike conduct on both teams. They offset. It'll be first down for Jacksonville at the 4-yard line.
I mean, Seth, you go ahead and get in here. I don't even think that's a designed option off of that play, is it?
It is an option, but at that moment, it's a no-no. They were trying to run one more play, get a little more time off the clock. You take it, keep the clock running, but you don't, as you're falling down, throw the ball over your head for an interception.
3 critical mistakes in the red zone have marred the first half for the Gladiators. They could easily be winning this football game. So Jacksonville, 23 seconds to work with, no timeouts. Tommy Grady sets and throws. Crawford, he'll get out of bounds. Smart play. Gain of 12. All right, guys, instead, feel free to jump in. 18 seconds. How do you manage this if you're Jacksonville and you're trying to get a touchdown?
They got plenty of time to do it, just no timeouts, but 18 seconds allows you more than enough opportunity in the Arena Football League, so they can stay calm here and just continue to complete some out routes and some stacks.
Grady, quick hitter. Hills will get right out of bounds. Instead, jump in here.
If you're Cleveland, you know that. Let them catch the in routes, the slants. They have no timeouts. You know they need to work towards the boundary. You don't give up the home run, but you force them to stay in the field of play if they're going to complete balls.
The problem Cleveland will have if they're trying to funnel them back towards the inside is the potential for completing the deep ball. I mean, Dominic Jones still not 100%, so he's your center fielder, but we've seen them getting behind the Gladiators in tonight's game.
Grady, pump fakes and goes up, and Dominic Jones with the pick. There is a flag down at the 1-yard line, and London Crawford wants the flag and gets it. And Jones just now realizes that he's not happy.
I saw 2 players jostling for position. Dominic Jones, certainly known as a guy who's willing to put his hands on wide receivers during the route.
Holding on the defense, number 2. Please reset the game clock to 15 seconds. An automatic first down.
And sometimes in this scenario, you're taking the penalty on purpose. A little tug by the hip. I think it's a good call. It's an accurate call. Wouldn't have been surprised or honestly even bothered if they let that one go, but he did use the hip to just pick up a bit of additional momentum.
And it was not a well-thrown ball, so frankly, he didn't need to do it, and he would have still been in a position, maybe not to get the interception, but certainly to defend the play.
That's a difficult thing when you're in that speed turn, and sometimes as a DB, you just use that little tug to get your own momentum going more so than trying to slow down the receiver.
And Cleveland's offsides. And keep in mind that last play was a
Offside on the
penalty.
defense, number 44, unabated to the quarterback.
According to the home
penalty,
clock
still first
operator,
down.
only took 3 seconds. There were 18 on the clock before Grady pump faked and then threw a high ball into the end zone. That's, it's good home cooking.
Excellent point. And Mike Alston has turned into a quality pass rusher for the Cleveland Gladiators. Picks up the offsides.
Now 15 seconds, lots of options here for Tommy Grady, who calls his own plays. And Grady throws, Crawford makes the catch, and he better get out of bounds, and he just has enough strength to drag Jones with him to the boards.
Because Dominic Jones couldn't quite get his head across on the tackle. It's one of the things when you're coaching pursuit angles, you're teaching defensive backs how to come in when they're rallying towards the football. You want to do everything you can in this scenario to get your head across, stopping the momentum of the offensive player. Even though the tackling position wasn't perfect from Dominic Jones, he's still strong enough to wrestle Crawford out of bounds.
Big Ant, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Derrick Ross isn't an option here with no timeouts and 11 seconds to go.
Agreed.
Brady's going to throw it to Ross, and Ross is not going to get in, and that's going to be the half. They're not going to get up on the ball in time. 2-1. So Cleveland catches a break. Poor clock management at the end of the half. I mean, if you're Tommy Grady, you got to throw that ball to somebody in the end zone.
And by throwing it short, he's, of course, hoping that Derrick Ross is going to be big and strong enough to bowl some people over and get there. But good rally. Nice swarm to the ball carrier there from Cleveland.
The Sharks looked unstoppable offensively. They cannot get points at the end of the half. They will head to the locker room, ahead 26-14, and let's go to set.
Thanks, Ari. Down here with Coach Tom. You got to be happy with the way your defense stepped up there at the end of the half, Coach.
We really needed it right there. I mean, we've been turned over 3 times on offense right now, so we needed that one stop. We had a great opportunity to cut it to 1 touchdown, getting the ball the second half, but just made a huge mistake right there.
What do you got to do differently in the red zone? You guys have had numerous chances. You're working the ball up and down the field. What has to happen down here for you to convert those into points?
We just got to execute better. Our running game has to be better. We got to be careful throwing it in the rounded end zones here with the corners. But we just haven't executed it all down there.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Guys?
Thank you, Sid. Thank you to Coach Tunn. A tough half offensively for the Gladiators, but down 2 scores, and they'll get the ball at the start of the third quarter. Lots of good stuff coming up at the half. When we come back, you're watching Arena Football on CBS Sports Network.
Get that swag back. Get that confidence back. Go out there. I don't care what we call. Execute it and play. Stop feeling sorry for yourselves. Make everything work. This team isn't that good right now. No. This team is not that good right now. You guys are giving them everything. Come out the second half. Come back. Get that touchdown. Cut it to 1 touchdown. And then we got to play football. We have to play football for 2 quarters.
Good job. Hey, man. Hell of a job. Defense, way to go. Way to get the ball back. They get the ball coming out the second half now. Get it back again. Way to play. Way to play offense. Way to play. Keep them off of them. They can't stop us. They can't stop us, man. Keep them off of them. They can't stop us. Hey, go out and have fun this half. Let's take this thing home. Don't let them play. Do not let them play.
Great to hear Les Moss. We're so used to getting to see him down on the field, giving his... I mean, that guy knows more about arena football than everybody in this building combined. Les Moss, Father Perry, the late Perry Moss, was a pioneer in the sport of arena football. It's great to just hear Coach Moss's voice and know that he's still a big part of what Jacksonville is trying to do.
Just a bevy of knowledge of the Arena Football League, and for him it takes some effort to get down to the locker room and then hustle his way back upstairs while he's still confined to the wheelchair, recovering from his foot injuries. But each coach had the message for their team at the half, what they need to do to make improvements in the second half. The coaching profile here on Les Moss began in the Arena Football League back in 1988, the second year of its existence. Between being an assistant coach and a head coach, he's reached the postseason in 22 of the last 23 seasons. He's won 4 Arena Bowl championships, one of those in 2011 as a player. I believe we've got, in a moment, our Cedric Bonner with the quarterback for Les Moss's team, Tommy Grady. Said,
thanks, Big Ant. Down here with Tommy Grady. You guys, good job in the offense first half. Sputtered on that last drive. Tell me what you saw on that last play, the screenplay.
thinking either tie it in or throw it away, but I saw Ross come wide open. I thought I put it on the wrong shoulder. I wanted him to roll outside. He rolled inside, so it's my fault.
This offense is rolling right now. You've got all these weapons. How do you go about getting all these guys the football?
I don't. I'm trying to call plays for everyone, but we have 2 guys rolling right now, and we're just going to keep it up in the second half. They're going to start double teaming some guys, so we got to go to the other guys.
Appreciate it, T. Thanks. Guys?
Hey, Stead, what was it like to look up at somebody? That's the first time I've ever seen Stead.
Why should you ever have to ask anyone that question? You shouldn't have to ask anyone that question, Ari.
Well, because I wanted to know what it was like for you to look up at somebody.
It's very humbling.
Yeah, now welcome to my life. First and 10, Cleveland. Fake the screen one side. Jacksonville not fooled as Chris Smith gets just enough of Amari Jackson to force him to the boards.
And you mentioned it earlier, Wolf. Joe Sykes plays hard. I mean, the effort it took, and it's only really, maybe 10 to 15 yards that he had to run to get there, but he was in position to make that tackle. He was fighting off the edge blocker, C.J. Cobb, trying to make sure that he got out of the stack to chase the football. It's one thing to be a great pass rusher, lead the Arena Football League in sacks, force fumbles, and tackles for loss, but he plays the game with an extreme motor.
A lot of passion for the game, Joe Sykes. Austin steps up, going deep, looking for Lewis. Perfect throw. Lewis to catch. First and goal coming up.
They've tried time and time again throughout the game so far, lengthening the coverage, showing the defensive secondary that they're willing to attempt these 9 routes, these deep balls from the stationary position. Tyron Lewis, as Shane Austin takes a quick 5 and then gets the ball out of his hands. The timing has been there, just the accuracy has been off. Pocket stood up very strong against that Sharks pass rush.
Best throw of the night for Austin. This is a design quarterback keeper, and really no place to go. Maybe picks up a foot on the play.
That 330-pounder, Wolf.
Yes.
Nicholas Jean-Baptiste. I mean, you're used to, as a defensive lineman in the Arena Football League, rushing the passer, getting upfield, penetrating into the backfield. There, it was just on him to hit blocks. Once you're inside the red zone and in this 5 to 6 yard territory, you know there's a better chance the opposing team will run the football. Didn't mind the play call at all from Stevie Tunn, but Jean-Baptiste just shut it down in the middle.
Austin with time throws. Jackson's got it. Touchdown, Cleveland.
I don't think that completely makes up for the huge boneheaded play that he made in the opposing red zone on the previous series, but you need players to respond. You need them to be able to come back and not go into the tank on you for the remainder of the game when they make a mistake that big. Stevie Tunn said, get your swagger back. Amari Jackson, he's got his swagger going.
If Jacksonville does not win this game, they're going to look back at the first half like we had a chance to put them away, and they didn't do it. As Cleveland now, this extra points good. Will only trail by 5 points here early in the third quarter. And Trevino splits the uprights. Amari Jackson, a little more popular in the bench area than he was at the end of the first half. Makes a good move, and Austin stands and delivers. Touchdown, Gladiators. There is a look at the current standings in the American Conference. Cleveland not a threat to Philadelphia in the East Division, but the 2 division champs and then the next 2 teams with the best records will be the wild card. Doesn't matter which division they're in. So Cleveland right now would get in, but there is a chance that 3 teams from the South can get in if Cleveland doesn't take care of business.
Philadelphia has not clinched the division itself yet. They've clinched a playoff berth, and so the Cleveland Gladiators know. We talked to Stevie Tunn about it before the game. All 3 teams in the South Division are threats to make the playoffs. And so when 4 out of 6 teams in the conference will make the postseason, it's going to be a tight race.
Greg Reed, a chance. I thought that ball glanced on the back wall. Reed only gets to the 5, so it works out just the same. But it did appear as he was catching it, if it touches the back wall at all, the play is supposed to be whistled dead. And a late flag comes in.
Sort of the pros and cons of Jeremy Richardson. We get a bit of this from him at times. It's the very first kick return of the night, actually, as there have been so many touchbacks. Richardson gets knocked down late, comes back, gets back in the face of the opponent. There's a shove there late. Tends to be where the second guy in gets caught. The retaliator.
Frankly, because we didn't have him in the shot, I didn't really see how much of a retaliation he got in. Did he get a good shot?
There appeared to be a bit of a flop in live action, but that's why your coaches always tell you don't be the second guy in.
Grady looking for Tiger Jones, and Tiger beats Fletcher, and Fletcher hangs on to make the tackle at the 14. Donnie Fletcher played his college ball, was a Boston College Eagle, and tried to defend one of the elite receivers of all time, the former Louisville Cardinal, Tiger Jones.
He's a thing of beauty in high motion because he can change speeds so quickly, but he's fluid in and out of his cuts. So he can give you the sharp cut on the 7 route. He can round it off on the curl. He can beat you on the 9 route. He's still got enough speed in his legs to do that. Tiger Jones, for a guy who's not that big, is the total package.
Grady, all kinds of time. And Crawford stopped after a gain. Big Ant, one of the things for Tommy Grady tonight, he has gotten outstanding protection from his bigs up front.
You need that. This is the Cleveland Gladiators defensive line that's had some inconsistency in the way they've rushed the quarterback, but you see there, just that wall. There's no one anywhere near Tommy Grady, and Willie McGinnis from the nose position. He's got 6.5 sacks on this season, leading the team coming into tonight's ball game. He's putting together what could be another all-arena year, but he alone can't do it. Mike Alston has to be more consistent with what he's able to bring off the edge as well.
Grady, Joe Hills, touchdown, Sharks. The streak continues for Joe Hills. 48 consecutive games with a touchdown.
Hills, from this tight trips formation, will work across the face of the defensive back. You see there just the club move over the top of Fletcher and then rounding across the back of the end zone. The violence in the hands of Joe Hills almost looks like a great pass rusher.
His arms are freakishly long. I remember being down on the field interviewing him, and I thought, goodness, you're already a much larger person, but the arms certainly look like a raptor of some kind. And extra point is blocked, and Cleveland's done a nice job on special teams. Jacksonville should have 35 points. Instead, they have 32, and it's helping Cleveland hang around. Joe Hills, one of the finest wide receivers. He didn't make Big Ant's top 5. He's asking for another vote. Come on, Big Ant, put me on the list. Be sure to check out arenafootball.com for all the latest news and information on the Arena Football League. While you are there, be sure to shop the AFL Team Fan Shop for the latest team gear. Check out arenafootball.com today. And it's Halloween night in June in Jacksonville, which is distracting enough. And then you try reading the card with Anthony Herron doing the Macarena right next to you. It's a lot of stuff going on at the same time.
Sensory overload?
Yeah.
How about cheerleaders with the I'm assuming she's got contact lenses in that have her looking like some sort of a lichen or
these
vampire
kind of things
of some sort?
I stay out of because I'm just not sure.
Yeah, tough to tell these days.
Yes. Roush, the kick, a chance for Amari Jackson to get a return. Jackson, good vision. Amari Jackson still on his feet, gets a block. And Amari Jackson, it'll be first and goal. Great patience and vision from Amari Jackson.
You hit it right on the head, Wolf. He didn't get overly aggressive. Caught it cleanly as the ball didn't make it to the net. So that gives him just a few extra strides on that kickoff coverage team. And from there, weaving in and out of traffic, Amari Jackson has taken 2 to the house on kick returns this season. He almost had a third.
And he's unique as a kick returner because he's a long strider. Usually it's a lot of little guys back there with quick feet. I mean, he's a legit 6'4".
And here we return to the Waterloo for the Cleveland Gladiators. Back in the red zone.
52 yards on the return for Jackson. Quick screen to Taylor. A flag is down. And Taylor, I didn't hear a whistle. Is he in? There's been no signal. Now they're saying touchdown Gladiators. There was no whistle. Colin Taylor kept on grinding, kept on working. Then I got to wait and see what the flag's all about.
Illegal shift on the offense, 2 men moving. The 5-yard penalty, still first down.
And that's about as mad as Coach Dunn gets. He just waves at him. You don't know what you're doing, and get on to work.
Stevie Tunn was at the first open tryout in Arena Football League history. We got 2 different players in motion.
Yeah.
Jackson hadn't gotten stationary yet for long enough as Lewis was coming in high motion.
Austin, and he made a wrong read. Lewis was wide open. Flag is down. But Sid Bonner, if we get the play call, I mean, he just looked at the wrong guy.
Do you see my hands?
Yeah.
You see my hands?
Yeah.
The post route, you always start everything with the motion. The motion was never covered. Can't miss that one.
Well, we can't hear Tom McCabe, but I believe what he's calling is a personal foul on Nicholas Jean-Baptiste.
Roughing the passer. I thought maybe Tom was just showing reverence to Sid Bonner while he was talking. He got his money's worth.
He did. To me, that's a little more of an NFL flag there. You don't normally see that one called where he was already into the body of the quarterback, and then he drove him down late. But the driving down late, I'm good with that.
First and goal.
Sed's probably not good with it.
Austin looking at Taylor the whole time, and he connects. Touchdown, Gladiators.
Trying to find throwing windows, there are ways formationally and by protection where you can open up a throwing window for your diminutive quarterback. Let's see Kid O'Brien right there. He will chop down the defensive end, Jerry Turner. That gets the hands down to the end, opens up a cavernous throwing window for Shane Austin to deliver the football through. We get a great look at it from the field level. And so Colin Taylor, as Greg Reed pedals in the paint like I always used to coach DBs not to do, Colin Taylor able to box him out. Now we'll see Cleveland go for 2 to try to make it a 3-point game.
Very unlike Steve Tunn to go for 2 this early. And I don't think you need to chase the points with 6:45 to go in the third.
They'll have to hurry up their process a bit here to get it off in time.
Austin throws, Taylor can't get to it. Terrence Smith got his hand in, and it remains a 5-point Jacksonville lead.
Ran a similar play. Went trips to the field side. This Jacksonville defense, they only rushed 3 initially. Terrence Smith able to come in with the deflection, but it's a 1-score game yet again because Shane Austin able to complete the pass to a guy who's having a career year. Colin Taylor's got him back in this one.
Back on May 9th in Cleveland, the Sharks and the Gladiators. Tommy Grady throws 4 touchdown passes. Their defense forces 4 turnovers, creates 21 points off those turnovers. Darren Ross, 3 touchdowns. Sharks win 46-43, and these are 2 AFL lifers, 2 head coaches, and around this game almost since day 1.
A lot of folks getting involved with this one on Twitter. The hashtag AFL on CBS. Feels like one of those that could be setting up for another classic Cleveland Gladiator sort of finish.
Onside kick, and it doesn't go far enough. Alvin Ray Jackson, touchdown Sharks. He's always around the football.
I'm surprised that Adrian Trevino didn't attempt a different onside kick this time out.
Wasn't nearly as good a kick either. I mean, it looked like, I'm not even sure if unless it got a good hop, it was even going to get to the 10.
It may not have. You never know with the oblong nature of a football. But to go with the same dribbler that you did last time, it probably maybe was going to go 10 yards there. But whether it did or not, Alvin Ray Jackson was more prepared for it that time around. Thought maybe there you go with the high hopper coming to one side of the field. Much easier to cover and pseudo-defend the onside kick.
Well, a couple of interesting decisions. Instead, feel free to jump in here by Stevie Tunn. First of all, to go for 2 this early in the third quarter, and then to go for an onside kick. Is it because, A, you don't believe you can earn an extra point because they've struggled, they've missed 3 extra points, and then you not have confidence in your defense to stop Tommy Grady?
I think that's the biggest one right there, is not being able to stop them from the field. They felt like they could have more success in the red zone playing defense. Not sure, but they thought they could get the 2-point conversion. They had some momentum, not necessary at that point, but not being able to stop Jacksonville out in the field. They wanted to get them in the red zone and try to play defense.
And I think sometimes, just as a coach, and Sed can speak to this as well, you get a feeling for a flow or a rhythm of a game at times, and Stevie Tunn seems to feel like getting possessions back in this contest will be very key.
Well, you saw a moment ago, Coach Stevie Tunn working that gum hard. He's got the mind at work. And
you see the strips on the neck there. He's actually had neck surgery as well. Both Stevie Tunn and Les Moss have had their battles with different neck issues over the years.
Is that the stress level of coaching in the AFL as they go hand in hand? These are outside of being a head coach.
Mine was more in the shoulders and the back.
Okay. Much better kickoff this time. Jackson doesn't have a chance to have a 52-yard return. So starting at the 5, the Gladiators will go back to work. Saturday, July 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's right, 1 p.m. Eastern. We head to the Mid-Atlantic for Arena football action. Cleveland Gladiators take on the Philadelphia Soul Eastern Division matchup on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
I've been hitting the head a lot, but last season, those Cleveland versus Philadelphia games, did all 3 of those contests come down to the very last play of the game? Am I remembering that correctly?
And all 3 won by Cleveland, and then a 4th in the playoffs. Jeremy Richardson, the playoff one was the most painful because Cleveland threw 5 interceptions. And Petrie hit one of the most perfect field goals I've ever seen.
It was a no-doubter.
It was unbelievable. He made it seem like it was an extra point in the outdoor game. It was so pure. Aaron Petrie, what a kick that was. Former Ohio State kicker.
Unfortunately for Philadelphia Soul fans, they have to live through that one and relive it every time we open a CBS Sports Network broadcast this season. Call from Andrew Cataline.
Terrence Smith, the pick. Goes up and gets it. Cleveland, 4 interceptions thrown, 3 by Shane Austin.
Third interception of the season for one of the great Iron Men players in recent arena football memory. Terrence Smith was once a 90-plus catch, 1,000-plus yard receiver in the AFL, showing the wide receiver skill set on the deep ball as though it was intended for him. Shane Austin, like the matchup he had downfield with Lewis, didn't quite get the football out early or long enough.
Tommy Grady backed up at his 1-yard line. Quick hitter. Crawford the catch. Does a little directing. Gets a blocker to go where he wants him to. And gets the first down. 15 yards on the play.
He might as well help out his lead blocker as well. Get Joe Hills up off the ground. There's receivers on both sides here, out in space blocking for each other. London Crawford, Razorbacks fans, remember his career in Fayetteville. Not a great touchdown grab. LSU fans remember him as well for taking down the Tigers.
Is that a shot at our director? Were you just trying to dig at our director right there?
Well, it's one of the great collegiate moments of London Crawford's career. It's a well-known play from SEC recent memory.
Injury timeout, also be a media timeout.
I'll let Mark talk to you at the break about that. We step away, we've got an injured player. It appears that Joe Hills will be fine when we come back. Joe Hills is okay, he's smiling, looking good over there. I mean, London Crawford asked him where to go block, and then he steps on his guy.
He's smiling now, but I wonder if he's forgiven London Crawford for trampling him. After pointing out the blocking position he needed, Joe Hills throws the cut block.
1, 2.
And then he becomes roadkill. You want to talk about some friendly fire?
Yeah.
Good grief.
And now he's got to come out of the game. Appreciate Rodriguez is coming in. Joe's like, this would have been me in motion. The give is to Ross, and he bounces it to the outside. Derek Ross. Great effort on the play. Close to a first down.
I like the call. I like the call from Tommy Grady. Only the 4th carry of the game for Derek Ross so far, so he has at least surpassed that 3-carry plateau that Les Moss said he needed to make sure his offense got beyond in today's ball game. They lost the last time out against the Tampa Bay Storm. Derek Ross only had 3 carries. Look at the all-time records that he has. Approaching 2,700 yards, 165 rushing touchdowns.
Joe Hills the catch. Stiff arm. They pick up the first down, gain of 8.
There's a lot of records on the offensive side that have expanded in the AFL in recent years when you're looking at quarterbacks and receivers because the game has changed. I don't know if anyone will ever be able to surpass, even maybe approach what Derek Ross is doing. He's such a unique talent, and he's been utilized in such a unique way throughout his career because of his ability level. Former Kansas City Chief, played the National Football League as a running back.
His records feel untouchable at this time, but you never know. We could expand to 22 games because the guys who had records at 14 games are saying, well, they got him at 18 now. That is a great catch by Crawford with the defender draped all over his back. Good coverage there by Jones in the secondary, but a better throw and catch.
And Sed Bonner played with Bo Kelly, who was a great runner in his own right. Didn't have the girth that Derek Ross does, but as a quarterback, Sed, how are you able to utilize that position? What does that do for the entirety of the offense?
Well, it makes your job that much easier when you can give them something else to look at. And I think the 2 years I called plays, Bo Kelly set career highs and carries and yards, so we enjoyed it. It helped our passing game out tremendously.
Grady, all kinds of time, and he'll finally get it out to Crawford, who picks up 3, and it'll be 1st and goal at the 7. There is a flag down at the 13.
This will be a late hit on Willie McGinnis.
Holding on the offense, number 39. 10-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
Okay. I thought they were going to get McGinnis because he ended up hitting Tommy Grady low late in the play. It's actually because he was being held by Derek Ross on the play. I mean, he did certainly extend his legs to try and make sure he at least got a piece of Tommy Grady. But good mechanics there from the nose because you're working off of that zero technique where the center's your first blocking surface. It's very difficult to suddenly transition to working on a second blocker like he did there with Derek Ross. But McGinnis kept good pass rush mechanics going and got pressure on the QB.
Grady into traffic. Tiger Jones, touchdown Sharks.
Cedric Bonner Seth probably can't even hear me because I was going to let him handle this replay. I can only begin to describe that pass. Go for it, Seth.
When it left his hand, I was like, no way, no way. Oh, my God. Great throw. You want to talk about a laser, putting it in the right spot on the corner route. The field corner is 10 yards deep and still didn't have enough time to get there to make the play. Great throw.
And it's that convergence, as Seth mentions, the field corner being 10 yards deep and Dominic Jones working over the top as the middle safety. Tommy Grady somehow still fitting the football both between and beyond where those players are converging in space. It doesn't get any better than that. He couldn't have walked out and handed the football any more accurately.
Maybe that's what life is like at 6'7". The fact that he thought he could get that ball there, I mean, there was double coverage. It looked like you don't throw it over there, it's the wrong read. That throw was magnificent. He's made 2 throws tonight, completely blowing me away. I didn't know that he could throw it on a line like that. Pretty impressive.
Especially when you get to see it in person.
I mean, in Utah, he put up staggering numbers. A couple of the throws tonight are as good as I've ever seen from Tommy Grady. What a night so far. The third quarter is complete. Jacksonville 46, Cleveland 27. You're watching Arena Football on CBS Sports Network. Score by quarter, and there is Tommy Grady. What a night, Big Ant. Tommy Grady, 22 of 24, 274 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And they have not been just real easy throws either.
No, I mean, we're talking outdoor, big field football throws on some of these occurrences, and we just saw one before that last commercial break.
Roush on the hop, play by Amari Jackson. His last return went 52 yards. Amari Jackson still on his feet. Amari Jackson, and he loses the football. Another turnover. Jacksonville's got it. Chris Smith. And he is forced out of bounds. It'll be 1st and goal. The turnovers continue for Cleveland. It has been a nightmare for the Gladiators tonight. 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and now a lost fumble.
There's another nice return going for Amari Jackson as he was cutting it back against the grain. Started to switch the football and did get it switched. Just as he was working his way towards the ground, Chris Smith came in. Just the presence of mind to poke the ball away right before Jackson hits the ground. That just shows you part of the reason why Les Moss brought him in and immediately placed him into the starting lineup over Larache Jackson. I mean, that's a big decision because Jackson had become one of the team leaders on this Sharks defense.
Grady sets up the screen, and Ruffins is not going to get too far. I guess he is. Come on! He gets in! Touchdown Sharks! How did he do it?
CBS Field comes to life as the former defensive lineman out of Louisiana Tech just put on a show.
I'm at a loss for words. I mean, how many guys tried to wrap him up before he got into the end zone? Amazing strength. Roush on for the extra point. Kick is up, and it is good.
This is what the Jacksonville Sharks can do. They can hit you in every phase of the game. We've seen what they can do offensively. We know about their defense. In this situation here, special teams came up with the big takeaway.
leading to Tommy Grady, throwing the football to his 320-pound tight end. And then the earth moved. Mokeet Ruffins, about a 6.9 on the Richter scale. At the tight end position, Mokeet Ruffin towards the bottom of your screen right here. He's going to set back and allow Mike Alston to get up the field. And so you get a double release. Derek Ross up to the top side of the field, and Mo Ruffin. Now, he's not in great position to score a touchdown. He's got 1, 2, 3, now 4 defenders draped over him. And then Dominic Jones, Napoleon himself, comes in. They cannot stop Mo Ruffin. Such a well-executed play because Grady looked to the field side trying to draw some other defenders. They got there in time. They just couldn't bring Mokeet Ruffins to the ground.
Yeah, I'm taking you to task. What do you mean well executed? He just got it to Ruffins and he did all the work. all Grady did was get it to him. Ruffins did the whole rest of the thing on his own. That was unbelievable.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, he wins that one. I'm not sure I let Amari Jackson touch the ball again. And here he goes. Why kick it to him? Amari Jackson redeems himself with the touchdown. This guy's had the most Jekyll and Hyde night I've ever seen. Terrible mistake, great play. Terrible mistake, great play.
There is a flag.
Offside on the kicking team, number 99. That penalty is declined. Result of play is a touchdown.
Still over 13 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, so we know what life is like in the Arena Football League.
Especially when Cleveland plays. They're the comeback kids.
Amari Jackson, in just one game, has had more twists and turns than a theme park roller coaster. He's been shooting his team in the foot. It's been a series of unfortunate events, but the natural ability has taken over at moments to draw his team back into the contest.
Extra point is up and it's good. So my real question for Amari Jackson is, did he change his hairstyle before Odell Beckham Jr. or after? Because it seems that the two of them are going for a similar look, you know, with the frosted top.
Right.
I'm sure Amari Jackson would trade paychecks with Odell Beckham Jr. right now. All right, let's hear from the big fella with Sed Bonner.
Hey, Ari, I can't let that outstanding kick return take the shine off of Mo Ruffin touchdown reception. That was a great effort. How many balls did you catch in college?
0. I was a DN in college. I didn't play any offense, so 0. I ain't have none. But
when you got in this league and got the opportunity to make plays and show your athleticism, how'd that make you feel out there?
It makes me feel good, man. Like, I know I got just a little bit of athletic ability, my big size, so I try to do whatever I can. When they call my name, I got to make it happen.
As a DN, I mean, you're blocking for one of the best quarterbacks in this league, making a transition coming to this league. How was that for you, going from defense to offense, being able to protect? Because you guys don't give up a lot of sacks.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to give a shout out to my coach. He's front office guy, John Norris, down in New Orleans. It was a tough transition, but, you know, he worked with me, got my fundamentals down. You know, it was on from there after that.
Appreciate it, Mo.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Guys.
Nice job, Mo. That was special. And I got to tell you, the fans are still acting like the Sharks just scored. They didn't let that kick return bother them at all. They're still dancing, having fun.
They like to celebrate here at CBS Field. It's Halloween night. It's been an exciting game so far, and just the start of this fourth quarter itself, I don't know how it can get much better.
I think Cleveland has a few suggestions how it could get better. Down by 19 points.
But we'll see. They've attempted 2 onside kicks so far in the game.
They're 1 for 2.
1 out of 2.
Same style on both, but you critique doing it the same way twice. We'll see what Trevino wants to do. They definitely need possession.
And quite often it comes down to what type of onside kick your kicker is most comfortable with. So you want him spending additional time on the practice field working on a wide variety, a la Mark Lewis in Orlando.
Well, usually when they pound it into the ground, you set up further to one side. This is still pretty close to the middle of the field. And he's still going to pound it into the ground. And Joe Hill's smart play. Goes up, squats it in to about the 3rd or 4th row. He's like a shot blocker at the rim.
He went up high.
Yeah, he's an athlete.
He may have been 4 feet off the ground there.
He's one of the guys who spent time in the NFL. I always wonder why he didn't stick, because he certainly got the athletic ability.
That's your ball guy. You're hoping the front line can do enough just to stop the coverage team from being in position to collision him, while he's going to try to either make the catch or, just as we see Hills do there, bat it out of bounds. So now the Gladiators will play red zone defense once again. Coming into the game tonight, they were 5th in the Arena Football League, 75.9% in the red zone on defense. Oh, and actually, correct me, not quite in the red zone yet. Good point, on 14.
And Grady, that's news. He had an incompletion and an ugly throw.
An ugly one.
Yeah.
Yes, an ugly one at that.
Just his 3rd incompletion of the game.
And it may have been on purpose. He may have seen the defensive back in position breaking on the football, so he threw it in the dirt. Decision-making has certainly been on point throughout the game. So perhaps he just didn't want to give Fred Shaw a shot at a pick 6. See London Crawford there up top one-on-one with Shaw.
Give it to Derek Ross. And Ross cuts it back, takes it for 6. Touchdown, Sharks.
Looks like we're going to get a little locomotive action. Got a little help from his friends.
Sharks are having a lot of fun today, I'll tell you that. Plenty to go around. Everybody getting a little taste.
We'll see. The scat block from Ray McNeil is really where the play is made, because he's got to attempt to not only overtake the nose, but get up to the linebacker position. And so McNeil from the center spot is why it was so clean, because he's nimble enough to ward off the nose, move him to get us to one side, and then get up to the linebacker and shield them away from their pursuit.
Derek Ross, for the 27th time this season, has a rushing touchdown. #1 all time. #1 in 2015. And he's well practiced at the art of getting that engine started. Want access to every AFL game at once? Go to arenafootball.com and click AFL Live for an online broadcast of games around the league via the ESPN3 video player. Or if you're on the go, download the Watch ESPN app to your mobile device and keep up with AFL action as it happens. $60-34 our score, and it is Halloween night. So they have an excuse why they're dressed like that. It's not just because they felt like they wanted to be a part of a themed evening. It's got to be warm in those suits.
So this is Chum. This is the Jacksonville Sharks mascot, who's now in the front row of the game in what appears to be a giant diaper costume on Halloween in June.
Huh.
He's had a few different outfits going throughout the game as well. Chum is one of the more popular mascots in the Arena Football
Very
League.
good. I would consider an outfit change from that one.
He's actually walking the boards. I don't know how safe that is. I hope Chum's a good athlete.
Yeah, right. Amari Jackson, will he have another chance? Not this time. That's what Roush did successfully in the first half, in the hands of Amari Jackson off the football. So when you're Stevie Tunn, when you talk to Amari Jackson when they get together midweek, what do you say? Do you say, hey, great job on some of the plays, and you really got to correct the other stuff? I mean, it has been a wild night for him.
It's been quite a night. I mean, you go through and you break down the film time after time, and now...
Hey, whoa, this is big news right here. Chris Dinker's coming in the game, and we've seen Stevie Tunn stay with Shane Austin when he's struggled in more important games than this. Chris Dinker, he was the starter in the opening game of 2014. Dinker looks one way, and now he's going to tuck and run. He's got some room, and Alvin Ray Jackson gets just enough of him. Gain of 9 on the play for Dinker. Dinker's got much better size. 6'5", 235 pounds. Fourth-year player, played his college ball at Southern Illinois.
Threw for over 5,000 passing yards as a Saluki. See Shane Austin there. He's now got the headset on. Watching, you would assume he'll still be trying to help and communicate, rooting from the bench. Chris Dinker, as you referenced, Wolf, was the opening day starter. Started through the first month of the regular season last year. And then Stevie Tunn made the decision to go with his young backup in Shane Austin, and he hasn't looked back until this moment.
Colin Taylor, this is not going to work out. Alvin Ray Jackson, boy, he delivered a blow, and he might have gotten the worst of it. He's a little slow to get up.
This isn't exactly the game of Colin Taylor. To cut it back against the grain and try to outrun people, especially in the confines of the Arena Football League. He's a big presence out there, though. You see Alvin Ray Jackson leaving the field.
He might not sure what state he's in, but he has had a fine game tonight. Deeker throws, and Lewis makes the catch in midfield. And Greg Reed able to hang on. Shane Austin, this will be a night he just as soon forget. 3 interceptions, those 16 INTs. He is tied with Kyle Rowley, the former Sharks quarterback. Second most interceptions in the league.
We'll see what the fourth quarter brings as far as how deep we read into this moment right now, because as we just referenced, Stevie Tunn last season pulled the trigger on taking Deeker out of the lineup, and then they went on a magical run with Shane Austin. If Deeker can show something here in the fourth, does he now become the new starting QB again for the Cleveland Gladiators?
Deeker, Colin Taylor, and I'll pose this to you. If they do not win tonight, Cleveland will have lost 4 of their last 6 games. So is this Stevie Tunn saying, this isn't working, we got to potentially go with a different plan down the stretch if we want to make it to the playoffs?
That's what it'll turn into if Chris Deeker forces him to make that decision. It's about performance and productivity on the field. That's why Deeker, even though he was the guy who had a little bit more pedigree going into last season, and they were winning. They were winning with Chris Deeker in the lineup, but the productivity from that position wasn't there when he made the move to Austin in 2014.
It was just a scheduling thing. I happened to be calling an LA Kiss local broadcast when Shane Austin started week 4 last season. I remember thinking, where's Chris Deeker? He just looks more the part.
And Seth, I mean, what do you think about this move here? We've seen a lot of Shane Austin the last 2 years, a conference championship, Arena Bowl starter.
Games and couldn't get it going. Even in the Arena Bowl playoff struggle, defense carried that team. He's played up and down this year. The turnovers is huge. If Chris can come in and give him some life and make plays with his legs like he normally does, you never know what's going to happen down the stretch.
The very first last play Hail Mary net ball victory they had, it was Chris Deeker throwing it off the net and Theron Lewis bringing it in. So Deeker was winning as a quarterback. He's a bigger guy. You said he looks more the part. I mean, he's statuesque at 6'5", 235-pounder. Went 20-9 as a starter at Southern Illinois. Got some time with the Iowa Barnstormers as a rookie quarterback, and Stevie Tunn brought him in last season with the thought of him being the starter.
Deeker throws on time. Colin Taylor, touchdown Cleveland. But as said, knows more about quarterback play than anything. If you've got 2 quarterbacks, you got big problems.
Then you get in trouble if you have some kind of dramatic injury to your starter. You need 2 guys. However, that backup's got to be a guy that's progressively getting better, not a guy that's equal to your starter.
We've seen Rob Keefe in Orlando make it work fairly well between Bernard Morris and Randy Hibbert, who's returned to the lineup for the Predators now.
But that has been more injury-based. We'll continue to talk about what could be a quarterback controversy in Cleveland as Deeker finds Taylor for the touchdown. Week 14 scoreboard. Philadelphia defeats Tampa Bay with a much closer game than the score indicates. Also, I mean, San Jose really ran away at the end from Spokane, but San Jose has owned Spokane this season. Orlando behind Randy Hibbert, leading New Orleans in the 4th. Later tonight, Arizona and Los Angeles, and then tomorrow, Portland and Las Vegas in a critical game in the National Conference for both those teams.
Just reference that Orlando quarterback situation. We're seeing at least a conundrum, perhaps a controversy, a question, if nothing else, a mystery wrapped in it. Well, okay. But Randy Hippert in Orlando's game right now, 24 out of 29, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception for the Predators. But you see the difference in dimensions. There's one guy there on the left in Chris Deeker who does look more of the traditional starting QB part.
Trevino, that one doesn't even going to get to the 8-yard line. That's a freebie touchdown. And the special teams touchdowns continue. Larache Jackson gets into the end zone for the touchdown. I think that Adrian Trevino is going to spend this week working on some new forms of an onside kick.
Well, the first one went very well.
Yes. But the other 2 times he's gone to that one, it's turned into touchdowns for the other team.
You know, the high hop that he tried the last time out, they didn't quite get the penetration you're hoping for. This time went back to the dribbler, and it's just gotten a little bit weaker each time he's dribbled the football towards that front line.
But Anthony, the key difference is if you go for the high hop, it doesn't result in a touchdown. You know, your worst case scenario, you're playing red zone defense. Right. This is the worst case scenario. It's resulted in 2 touchdowns. Cleveland has had a real hard time on special teams tonight. Jacksonville struggling to make extra points. They make that one. 67-41. Boy, the Sharks have looked fresh coming off the bye week. They have excelled. And this is the team, keep in mind, they started 0-4. Then they were 1-5. Won 5 straight, lost their last game before the bye week, but they have to be the mystery X-Factor team for everybody in both conferences if they get into the playoffs.
I would agree with that, because when you're looking and comparing the 2 conferences, Les Moss receiving a bit of treatment from his wife upstairs, but when you're comparing the 2 conferences, we can certainly look at Arizona and San Jose out west in the National Conference. Then in the American Conference, who's it going to be? Who's the team with enough talent? The American Conference is deeper, but who's the team with enough depth and talent to try and compete with the likes of the Arizona Rattlers and the San Jose SaberCats? This Jacksonville Sharks squad, when they're hitting on all cylinders, they look as deep and as talented as anyone, regardless of conference or division in the league.
And Philadelphia, if you just look at the standings, you think, okay, well, they'd be the team because they're 12-2. But keep in mind, they don't play Arizona or San Jose this year, so Philadelphia won't know how good they are against the very best in the league.
So it is still, I don't know if this is that a lambda thing or Omega Mu? Not sure what's going on there.
Keep them off TV, please. We don't need that. Now, San Jose did play the Sharks, and they won, but it was a you know, well, it wasn't a 3-score game. It wasn't that close. So here are the new Sharks. It took a while for them to gel. And the Sharks will not play Arizona, so you can make a case that Jacksonville and Philadelphia are the 2 best teams in the American Conference, and neither one of them will play the 3-time defending champs.
So if we look at Eric Meyer for San Jose as the biggest offensive acquisition, we've talked a lot tonight about Joe Sykes being one of the great players, one of the great pass rushers, no doubt, in the Arena Football League. To me, the biggest defensive acquisition.
I mean, that's an all-star team right there.
Every one of the players listed there has had all-arena honors in their past.
You can make a case if Eric Meyer is number 1, Joe Sykes is 2, Tommy Grady's 3, Derek Ross is 4, Joe Hill's is 5.
And don't forget about Tiger Jones.
Yeah, I did actually, thank you. I put him higher up on that list. It's ridiculous.
There's too many of them.
Yeah.
Can't remember them all.
Colin Taylor had it lost, and Terrence Smith, who's very capable of playing offense as well, is a true Iron Man throwback guy, has played a very good game defensively.
As I referenced earlier, he had 99 catches and 29 touchdowns back in 2012. But Les Moss and Terrence Smith agrees that the best position he plays is field corner. Had 12 interceptions just 2 seasons ago back in 2013. Spent some time in the National Football League with the Green Bay Packers.
set up the screen, and that throw was low, and it was going to be well defended anyway.
Yeah, because Smith came off of his break. He was working downhill, and he, for some reason, is in the face of Stevie Tunn right now.
Come on, you can't have that.
We're just going to show Terrence Smith some love, and now he does some silly stuff with the coach. But the 2012 season, he made the All-Ironman team.
After the play on sportsmanlike conduct on the defense, number 10. The 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And you know what? Greg Reed, who you're not seeing, who's a rookie, went over and shook Coach Tunn's hand and basically said, we're sorry. Because Terrence Smith didn't. I mean, Stevie Tunn's been in the game since 1988. Show a little respect.
And I will say this. Overall, Terrence Smith has been one of my favorite players in the AFL in recent years. That's not one of his better moments, hands down. That's not who he normally is on the field. But overall, he's been a great player to watch because of his willingness to do so many things and give his body up and normally play with a lot of respect for his teammates and opponents on the field.
But it appears he's contending that Coach Tunn pushed him. I don't know if we have a look. I can't imagine it was much of a push. Uh-oh, ball's out. Joe Sykes does it again, 9 forced fumbles. That's ridiculous. Well, we waited and waited. Sykes got another one.
The bad man does it again. Joe Sykes, for the 15th time this season, has gotten to a quarterback with the football in his hands.
So 15 sacks and 9 forced fumbles, and he's still got 4 games to go.
That edge rush. The pad level that he's able to do that with, I can't explain to people how difficult that is unless you rush the quarterback with a 300-pounder leaning on you while you're doing it. To be able to turn the corner at the depth with the low pad level you need to rush under the pad level of the offensive blocker, but still maintain the speed like a great sports car turning a corner. It's unbelievable. The human body is only meant to do so many things, and Joe Sykes goes beyond that.
And for those of you who may just be joining us and don't know that Anthony Herron was an outstanding NFL defensive end and in the Arena Football League, so when you're saying that, that is with someone who has real knowledge in the area, that you know how tough it is to play at that level.
I don't know if Joe Sykes is on Twitter, but he's earned his own account.
You gonna start a fan club for him on Twitter?
Something like that, you know, at speed off the edge, at D-line play.
I thought it was hashtag you were teaching me.
Well, it would be hashtag burst, something like that. Yeah.
Trying to learn, you know, I'm an old man trying to learn a new trick.
Without the 15th sack, so one off his own AFL single season record of 16 that he set with the San Jose SaberCats back in 2012.
And it leads to a touchdown. Derek Ross gets back in the end zone. With that last forced fumble from Joe Sykes, he ties Gabe Nineheist for the most forced fumbles caused in an AFL season. Again, still 4 games to go. He may set a record that'll be like you said about Derek Ross, that we may never see touched again.
Well, when you're comparing the numbers, you know, generationally, the fact that he's doing it still within that 16-game time frame right now, I mean, this is just the 14th game of the season for Jacksonville. Or actually the 13th game of the season. Cleveland's the one in their 14th game.
And the other thing that makes it different in both ways, both pro Joe Sykes and diminishes it just a hair, is he's going up against real offensive linemen every play. But then on the other turn, he doesn't have to block anybody like an Ironman football. But still, I think what he's done stands alone as the best season I've ever seen from a defensive lineman in the AFL. Sykes forces the turnover, and Derek Ross caps it off with his second rushing touchdown of the night. Well, somewhat lost in the Joe Sykes love fest up here was the terrific performance tonight from Tommy Grady.
He's gotten after it. Coming off the bye week, Tommy Grady has looked as comfortable as I've seen him look all season with this Jacksonville Sharks offense. The full array of passes The entire arsenal of this offense on display with Tommy Grady calling the plays and leading the way. Now continues to climb the all-time touchdown pass list. Moving into number 8, surpassing John Kaleo.
The guys at 7 and 8 are both going to keep moving up. May come down to which guy plays an extra year. Jackson a chance. He's been spectacular.
For both teams.
Yes. Hey, 2 turnovers really cost his team. Here he is moving up the ranks.
583 career touchdowns. Remember that monumental season he had with the Utah Blaze. He threw 142 of those in the same season and over 5,800 yards. 142 touchdowns in one season.
I'm sure Sid remembers if a guy got to 100, it was a huge deal. Not anymore.
It meant
really
something.
big deal.
Yeah.
142 almost seems like you're lying.
Yeah,
that ain't
you're
true.
kidding. That's not fair. Amari Jackson leads it out, and just, we've capped off Tommy Grady's night. Joe Sykes now has 49.5 career sacks. That's an absurd number. It's not like he's played this game for a decade.
And it's hard to get sacks in arena football.
You're not supposed to get them.
There's so much 3-step. There's so few opportunities normally to get home when the quarterback's still holding the football.
He's just in his 5th season, and he's got almost 50 sacks. This is not human.
Just to sort of encapsulate how difficult it is just looking at this year. Coming into this week, Tyree Glasper was number 2 with 9 sacks. And that's a career year for Glasper.
That's an awesome year.
Glasper's never been a double-digit sack guy. Francis Maka of the San Jose SaberCats next with 8 sacks.
And I'll bring Sid in. I think it's a fair assessment that if you just, no player, if you just counted the first 14 games, you included every team that played with a 14-game season, that almost every team in the league's single-season sack record was not in double figures.
Ball-star on the offense.
And then here he is in game 13 with 15.
I think what's so impressive to me about that, Ari, is the fact that everybody knows how good he is.
Yeah.
You scheme up for him, you slide protect, you do all these things, and he still finds a way to get home in this league. It's incredible.
What I would have liked to have seen tonight, I did feel like schematically, Stevie Tunn told us he wasn't going to leave C.J. Cobb on an island so frequently in the game. Overall, we've seen a lot of one-on-one with Joe Sykes rushing against Cobb. And Cobb in a pass set, not really getting as many opportunities to cut block, not throwing fullbacks at him in slide protection, chopping him down at the knees.
Holding on the defense, be a 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And guys, I do want to get a final thought from Sid. It seems the way the fourth quarter's transpired that you can't really make a case that Chris Deeker has done any more with this offense than Shane Austin was able to. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I've seen him miss a few reads down here, just the short throws, the timing routes. He's not really in it, and to give him a little credit, he hasn't been in the game. He's been sitting over there, and the tempo is at a high pace with the Sharks pass rush coming after him.
We're going to have the universal bye week that's coming up in the Arena Football League over the 4th of July holiday weekend. So the Philadelphia Soul, the next opponent for the Gladiators, will have a lot of time to try and figure out who will be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Gladiators, because I don't anticipate Steve Tunn letting it be known publicly before he really needs to.
No reason to. Let Clint Ozell stew about it. Remember, Clint used to play quarterback for Stevie Tunn. They're good friends. Might even call each other on July 4th. No reason to tell him who's playing quarterback.
Well, the tangibles are only part of the story of Shane Austin. The intangibles are what made last season so magical. The Jacksonville Sharks right now, such a talent-laden roster. The talent will normally only take you so far, but we see a team now for the Sharks beginning to gel.
Colin Taylor makes the catch, and I guess there will be another play. There was a whistle. Apparently, wasn't a whistle that mattered. Tommy Grady, great night for the Sharks. They put a hurting on the Cleveland Gladiators. They win 74-41. We'll step away. We'll come back and wrap things up from a very happy Shark Tank in Jacksonville.
Well, there goes the Country Club, the 2015 Dodge Durango, now with available Beats audio.
Score when you look at it. There you see the final score. Anthony, the Sharks are now 7-6. Cleveland is now 7-7. What do we learn about this? Is that Sharks record, they're actually 7-6. What do you take away from tonight?
Well, for Jacksonville, when you look at the talent they've put together on this roster, we knew coming into the season that what they had put together would have enough ability physically to try and compete with the top teams in the league. But now we see a team with the intangibles starting to gel, but they need to continue to play hot down the stretch because they are in the deepest of the two conferences in the Arena Football League and most certainly the best division.
Well, I think winning 6 of 7 qualifies as hot. We'll see if they can stay hot. But the Sharks are certainly a team to watch heading down the stretch. 74-41 Sharks win. On behalf of Anthony Herron and Cedric Bonner and our entire CBS crew, I'm Ari Wolf. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Our next Arena Football broadcast will be Saturday, July 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Cleveland takes on Philadelphia. So long from Jacksonville.